Greetings, friends, and welcome to Good Questions. This is our second installment. Any one of them that was independent, you can watch just any topic you're interested in. Although I hope you'll follow with the series. It does kind of build in some ways. Our first installment, we asked the question, is there a God? And what's at stake when we ask that hard question? A lot of times it's a real gut kind of thing, isn't it? And we're headed toward some really hard questions, like is God in control? Is God a judge? Why do bad things happen? Why is the Bible so weird? So I wanted to get there. I think it's important to backtrack to last time we were saying, not just is there a God, but do I believe in God? And if I ask, do I believe in God, I want to think through what I mean by believe, right? What is faith? If you ask me, do I believe there is a Taj Mahal? Well, yeah, I do believe there's a Taj Mahal. My dad went to visit it. I've never been there. I bet I will never get to the Taj Mahal, and I'm okay with that. But I do believe that there is one. So are we saying, well, I believe there is a God? That's not that much, is it? Sometimes we talk about belief, and we sort of rate it in terms of volume. Like I believe in God, but if I really believe in God, if there's more volume, intensity, depth to it, then what? Maybe God will do more things. Maybe God didn't answer my prayer because I didn't have the right volume, the right intensity, the right temperature of faith. That can't be right. Or you have God, kind of waiting for the people that really believe a lot. I'll do things for them, but not for others. That can't really be what faith is about. One of the things I like to talk about is say that faith's not an emotion. A lot of times people say to me, I just don't feel God. Last week we looked at that song that was sung in a cellar when a Jew was hiding out from Nazi oppression and said, I believe in the sun when I don't see it. I believe in love when I don't feel it. I believe in God when he is silent. If there's God, it's not a feeling that we have, or else the advantage goes like intuitive, emotional, feeling, touchy-feely people. That can't be right. The other rational person who's not deeply emotive could believe in God. It's not just feeling. Faith can be different for different people. We have different personalities. We have tall people, short people, different skin colors. Faith must look different for different people. That's not too surprising. What's a God anyhow? If I believe in God, what is a God? Is God, the Wizard of Oz? You go there, is God like Santa Claus? Appears once in a while, old guy with a beard kind of God? Is God somebody that doles out favors from the sky? I remember when I was in college, I took a philosophy course on existentialism. I was trying to figure out life and get through college. And this existentialism course was great. We read a theologian out of the 60s named Paul Tillich. And when Paul Tillich wrote about faith, he said, faith is your ultimate concern, your ultimate concern. I like that. What am I ultimately concerned about? What gets me up in the morning? What motivates me? What do I think really will deliver in life? Whatever that is your God. Martin Luther King preached a great sermon where he said, we've genuflected before science, we've genuflected before business, we've genuflected before the economy, we've genuflected before government. He said, these are all gods who can't deliver. Only the true God can deliver. A lot of people today, their political ideology has become their God. They think that's the be-all and the end-all. That is what can really deliver the goods. So what is a God? What is a God? Maybe faith is like a reverence. Reverence. Do I have a reverence before the world? Do I have a reverence before other people, right? Or I just use them, I just do whatever. Do I have a reverence for the world? I love Albert Einstein. He's like one of the smartest guys ever. Albert Einstein kind of famously wrote this: a knowledge of the existence of something we cannot penetrate, of the manifestations of the profoundest reason and the most radiant beauty. It is this knowledge and this emotion that constitute the truly religious attitude. In this sense, and in this sense only, I am a deeply religious man. Well, love that. Einstein says, I'm a religious man because I have to have this reverence, this awe before the wonder and the order of creation. I like that. Is that faith? Or can it be more than that? Can it be a personal relationship, right? Is faith, I have a personal relationship with this power? Einstein doesn't seem to go there, but is that a thing? To have a personal relationship with a power beyond you that you can't see, there's something implicit in that, right? That is that I am not enough. Like, are you enough? I'm not enough. I don't feel like I'm enough. None of us feel quite like we're enough. Last year we recommended Kate Bowler's book called No Cure for Being Human. And it's a great book, and it's really about not being enough or not having enough. You have a bucket list. If I just go to these things, my life will be full. It's never enough, right? You're never enough. Maybe that's faith, is saying, I'm not enough on my own, right? I'm not enough on my own. The whole idea of, do I have enough within me to find meaning, or is there something beyond myself, something outside myself? I belong to something larger than myself. Is that faith? I mean, that's the yearning, right? A child looks up at the stars, a child looks into the heart of others and say, are we alone down here, or are we part of something bigger? Is there meaning out there? Some people would say to me, faith is just so easy. I just believe in God. I've never doubted. Yeah, it's fine. I think for a lot of people, faith is hard. It's very hard for me. It's not as hard for me to think there is a God. I don't really spend much time doubting that. But faith, this kind of deeper relational thing, if that's a thing, I find that to be hard. It's hard. It's hard for a bunch of reasons. One reason is just the modern world, which is so cynical about the things of God. I grew up, every year we would watch The Wizard of Oz. I didn't know for years that part of the movie was in color. We had a black and white TV. It's just The Wizard of Oz was in color. My mother would make pancakes. It was great. The Wizard of Oz, of course, the climax comes when Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Lion and the Tin Man arrive at Oz, and they finally get an audience with the wizard, and he's smoking.
Yeah! Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz. I said come back tomorrow.
If you were really great and powerful, you'd keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now. Oh. The great Oz has spoken. Oh. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
You are? I don't believe you.
No, I'm afraid it's true. There's no other wizard except me. You humbug! Yeah. Yes, it's exactly so. I'm a humbug.
Oh, you're a very bad man.
Oh, no, my dear. I'm a very good man. I'm just a very bad wizard.
I think that's sort of a parable of the modern world. It's like the curtain's been pulled back. People believed in God and the numinous and mystery forever, but now it's like, it's all cause and effect. We're on our own down here. It's the modern world. It's hard to have faith. I mean, God's invisible, and you talk, you pray to God, and your prayers feel like the gravity just pulls them back down to the ground. God's not listening. I ask people, what are your questions about God? And a boatload of them have to do with, I talk to God and I don't hear anything back. I don't seem to get an answer. The facts of the world make believing in God, trusting in God really hard. But I do want to say this, is that faith is hard, and I think it's good that faith is hard. I mean, I don't know about you. To me, everything that's meaningful in my life has been hard. Marriage is hard. I think it's part of what can make it meaningful. I got a PhD in theology. Let me tell you, you don't show up and register one day and you read a paragraph and answer a question, they give you a PhD 5 minutes later. Years of very hard labor, very hard work, and then when they give you the degree, it's like, wow. that really has a lot of meaning. Anything that we work really hard on becomes very meaningful, where we've expended energy. There's costs to it. It's wearying at times. I think God knew that. There's some peril in it. There's a risk element to real faith. Blaise Pascal, the French philosopher, he had the famous wager, right? He said, I'd rather wager on God and be wrong than wager that there isn't a God and be wrong. It's an interesting way to look at it. There's a risk element. There's a commitment element. There's a sacrifice element. I think about what Lisa and I did in this church at the altar here on March the 1st of 1986. We married. I know theologians who say, when I say I believe in God, the logic is the same as saying, I take you to be my, it's a commitment, right? It's a personal thing. When Lisa and I married, I think I was saying to her, I believe in you. I believe in us. I believe in our life together. I'm not my own anymore. You don't exist to serve me. We're in this thing together. And there's going to be sacrifice, and it's a journey. It's a map. We're headed somewhere. We don't know exactly where. Faith is a lot of this. I have a friend, he never married, he never stuck with a career, he's just a low commitment guy, and now he's getting older and he kind of wishes he'd committed to something along the way. He's kind of sticking in his bubble, always playing it safe. Faith isn't playing it safe, I don't think. It's taking risks. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, in World War II, he was one of the few pastors who stood up to the Nazis. He wrote a book called The Cost of Discipleship. It's one of the great Christian classics. He talks in there about cheap grace. We want cheap grace. Oh, I have God's grace. I can kind of do whatever I want to do. He said, if it's real grace, there's a cost to it, but the real cost is living without the grace. We make an investment. It's not just assent to some ideas about God. It's your life. So that's why to say, I believe in God, I hope it's not just like the Taj Mahal, but you hope it's like, I'm going somewhere. I'm making a difference. I'm going with God. I'm going with the other people of God. I love Father Greg Boyle. I quoted this in a sermon a few weeks back, and people loved it, as they should have. Greg Boyle works with former gang members in California. He's amazing, and they are former gang members because of the Christian faith and what he does with them. His great quote with respect to this is the following: faith isn't about saluting a set of beliefs. Faith is walking with Jesus, being a companion, particularly standing in the lowly places with those who are easily despised and readily left out. I'll just read it again. Faith isn't saluting a set of beliefs. It's about walking with Jesus, being his companion, particularly standing in the lowly places with the easily despised and the readily left out. We're asking good questions, and we're going to get there. Why is there suffering? Why is there evil in the world? Why bother with church? Does God answer prayer? I hope in all of these we'll think about faith not just as like this mental thing that we give assent to out there. I think this. It's more whole-bodied, right? Like I'm risking myself in this thing. I'm committing myself in this thing. As we ask the questions and then try to decide how are we going to live our lives based on this. There's a content to the Christian faith that it's taught in the church. We'll look at some of those things. It's aspirational. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to believe everything. It's a growing sort of thing. We always want to learn more and grow more in our faith. Thanks for joining us for this. We're going to keep looking at things, and we're going to move next to what's God like. That's just a big thing. And then back to, why do bad things happen? We say to good people, why do they happen to anybody? And why do we think we're the good people, right? And many, many more questions. Keep coming at me with questions. These are going to shape everything that I'm doing as I prepare. And we want to believe in God, or at least sort out what that means. Thank you for joining us, and we'll continue to ask good questions that have no easy answers.